Hey, what's up, guys? It's your boy Tony K. Cole. Listen, if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. Number one, it's free. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or your computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast as well with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Listen, I suggest that you go and download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. What's going on, everyone? This is your host from The Rise Up. I just want to say thank you again for tuning in to yet another episode. As you already know, it's a dynamic episode that you are about to encounter. Please make sure that you have pen and paper ready, because you already know I do suggest that you take notes, just so that you can go over your notes on your own personal time, so that you can do some personal reflection as you are accomplishing your goals. Also, if you have not already subscribed to the Rise Up podcast, I am extending that invitation. By all means, feel free to choose whatever option is more comfortable for you. But even in your subscription, it allows you to have the first to know basis of when my podcast episodes are dropping. So I would definitely appreciate if you guys did subscribe according to what's comfortable with you. The support, the love, the listenership, followship, everything is greatly appreciated. So I'll see you and catch you on the other side. Thank you for listening to The Rise Up. I am your boy and your host, Tony K. Cole. Welcome, everyone. This is The Rise Up. I am your host, Tony K. Cole. This is episode 7. I am honored, grateful, blessed, empowered, inspired, encouraged that we are on episode number 7. 7 being that of the number of completion, but we are yet to be finished. There's still work to be done, people. I just believe that number 7 in this case would represent the fact that we have crossed over into our second wind. That momentum has been kept, and we shall continue to keep momentum by the graces of God, as He continues to give me strength, as He continues to allow me to dwell within the land of the living. Momentum shall be kept, content shall be given, and we shall continue in this journey together, people. I just want to say that this episode is very special. I think I say that about every single episode, especially the last 3 episodes, but I want to put emphasis on how special this episode is, because we're talking about a very unique part of this journey. But before I go into that, I would like to say, if you're listening to this podcast, I take it that you are very serious about making change. You are very serious about making impact. You are very serious about making a difference. Because this podcast, the Rise Up podcast, is a podcast for those who are ready to make a difference. Obviously, you've done some check and balances, you've done some self-evaluation, and you realize not only is there a change that needs to be made, but even as you're going through this journey, the changes that you have made already or that you are committed to making is definitely beneficial to those around you. And so, listening to this podcast, I believe and I hope has aligned you or realigned you to your purpose, your mission, your goal, or goals, and allowed you to embrace strong truth, as well as apply it to your everyday life. And so if that's the case, you deserve a pat on the back, you deserve a high five, a hand clap, whatever it may be. If I had my bullhorn or something like that, I would sound it off, but I commend you for the changes that's been made thus far. Episode 7. We are talking about use what you have. Use what you have. With the understanding that what you have is worthy enough, efficient enough, capable enough, powerful enough, creative enough to make your dreams come true, navigate within this journey, fulfill your purpose, accomplish your goals, strengthen those who are weak, make an impact, cause change, and make a difference. Use what you have. I want to tell 2 stories before I go into this episode. The first story starts with myself. There was a day I was working this one job. I don't want to... Well, I guess I can. I was working at BJ's Wholesale Club. I was working in the tire department where we were installing tires, doing flat repairs and stuff like that. And one day, I was working on this one vehicle and I'm looking all over for a certain tool that I needed to get the hubcaps and lug nuts off of the wheel. And I'm searching and I'm looking all over for it. And very faintly, I heard within myself, it's in your hand. It's in your hand. And sure enough, when I looked in my hand, the tool that I needed was right there in my hand. And the reason why I didn't know was because I looked at the tool and I felt as though it was not capable enough to get the job done. That I needed something better than what I had in my hand. But what I actually needed, I had it all the while. And I was just blown away because as simple as that may have sounded, it was so powerful. And it changed my perception about life that very moment. It was so what we use as in the church arena, we call that a prophetic moment. It was a prophetic moment. It was like the light bulb clicked. And the whole time while I'm looking and searching and trying to find something else that I thought would be better, more efficient, more competent, what I needed was already in my possession. Well, needless to say, I used that tool and I got my job done efficiently, effectively. And I was just, like I said, I was blown away. The second story I want to use as a more, I guess, in a mainstream type of way. Just recently, all across social media, there has been a very epic versus episode. Those who watch the social media broadcast known as Versus, I believe it's managed and broadcasted by the producer Swiss Beats and Timberland. You can sometimes catch it on, well, not sometimes, but all the time, you can catch it on YouTube if you just type it in, Versus Battles, and they had various artists. But just recently, we were able to not actually be entertained, but be brought almost like into a time capsule where we was brought back into time of the 90s and early 2000s with some really great music by that of Brandy and Monica. Those who are fans of the R&B genre of music, then these names ring a bell. Brandy and Monica. And as I was watching the Versus episode with these two phenomenal singers, I'm more of a Brandy fan, so that's my bias, I believe that her voice is just angelic. Nothing against Monica, but I just feel as though Brandy has a very angelic presence when it comes to her vocals. But the both of them together, as I was watching them, I was listening to a lot of their story as they were sharing different background stories to the songs that they had wrote. They were speaking about the emotions that they had, the relationships that have failed, or the relationships that they thought were going to last forever, relationships that may have worked. And they used their life story in those very moments as they were going through it to write. They used their ups and their downs as a tool, or as tools and as fuel to build their momentum and to build and to work their creativity. And as I was watching these two, all I can think about again is use what you have. Use what you have. And so I'm presenting that to you guys who are listening and who will listen, that regardless to what it is that you are setting out to accomplish, you may feel as though you don't have what's needed to get it done. But I want to say, like how the church folk always say, the devil is a lie. The devil is a lie. He's been a lie from the beginning. He will always be a lie. He is the father of lies. You have everything that you need, even though you feel as though you don't. Sometimes lack, or the appearance of lack, the feeling of lack, can be the greatest deception, the greatest deceiver, the greatest voice of deception that influences us in our everyday life. Sometimes we think that we're lacking something that we actually possess. Now, of course, a lot of what we possess may not be tangible. And in some cases, it is. But you come to realize the more that you're on this journey, that if we're ever going to manifest anything, manifestation doesn't start on the outside, or rather that of the exterior. But manifestation first starts from within, the interior. That if I want to manifest anything, if I want to see something come to pass, it must first start within me. Which means I cannot doubt, number one, who I am, and I cannot doubt what I have within me. Meaning I cannot doubt my purpose, I cannot doubt my influence, and I cannot doubt my vision. The moment I doubt my purpose, the moment I doubt my vision, the moment I doubt my identity, who I am, where I'm going, what I'm all about, the moment I doubt those things, I put a halt to the very things that are desired to be made manifest. See, going back to my personal story, if I doubted what I heard about the tool that was in my hand, if I had doubted that it was effective enough, if I would have doubted the fact that I actually possessed it, I would have never used it. And if I didn't use it, I wouldn't have been able to get my work done. It wouldn't have been accomplished. And who knows what would have come. There might have been a complaint from the customer, probably would have got some words from management, who knows. But I realized as I looked and paid attention to the voice within me, and I hearkened to that voice, not doubting. I didn't doubt, but I gave heed. I was fully invested. My attention, my faith was fully invested, and therefore I was able to accomplish what needed to be accomplished at that very moment. I'm saying to you guys, don't doubt. Don't doubt. If you're going to use what you have, you can't doubt. You say, well, what is it that I have? If I'm trying to accomplish a business and that business requires money and I don't have the money right now, there's no way I can do it. That's a lie. I told you lack can communicate some of the most greatest deceptions ever. You have a voice. You have creativity. I shared with you guys that there was a moment where when I started as a photographer, I didn't know anything about photography. I didn't know much about cameras. So the very first camera that I got was a Nikon L120 point and shoot camera. And to me, that was a success because I didn't have a camera before. It wasn't until I connected with a friend of mine that's been doing photography for some years that he explained to me the type of camera that I had needed and that would be more beneficial to what it was that I was setting out to do. And he said he had an extra camera that was within the standards that he was giving me. And he said he would sell that camera to me. Now, at the time he was selling it to me for $300. I didn't have the $300. Why? Because I was not in that position. I wasn't in a position. Even though I had went to get supplemental income, that income was going towards household stuff. So I had to think, how am I going to do this? Now, I could have listened to the voice of deception that said, there's no way in the world you're going to get that $300. Or I could have listened to the voice that spoke louder as I meditated and prayed about how I can get this accomplished. And the very thing that came on the inside of me was that of doing a fundraiser. And with my fundraiser, I let the people know that if you make an investment to help me accomplish my goal of getting this camera, I will then, in return, as a way of saying thank you, give you a free photo shoot. See? I didn't have the money, but I had a plan. And I put that to work. I kid you not, within 2 days, maybe even less than that, it might have been a day or so, I ended up with the $300. And my friend, he looked at me, he said, man, that was fast. Because I had texted him, I said, I don't have the $300 right now. And he said he would try to hold on to it as soon as he can. But then he was telling me that somebody else was interested in the camera. The next day, I texted him and I said, I have the $300. And I was able to make that investment. See, people, sometimes just you using your wisdom, using your drive, your determination is what's needed the most when you're trying to manifest the very things that you think that you don't have, or the very things that you desire to have. I believe so many times we focus on those things that are external and materialistic, that we don't focus on what we're actually possessing on the inside of us, that of wisdom, that of intuition, instinct, creativity, our hunger and our need to know. So therefore we do excess research on different topics, subject matters, products, different reviews. And we become like a storehouse of information. We become our own personal library, that now people can come to us and pick information off of us as if they would pick a book off of the shelf of a library or Barnes and Noble. We become a storehouse of information. We become a storehouse of suggestions and advice. Little do we understand, we actually become a consultant. We become a business coach. We become a life coach. And little do we understand, that becomes marketable. It's something that can generate income. I think I just helped somebody right now as I'm saying this. I really think, and I really hope I just helped someone. You just got a new business plan right now. That you become what you think you're missing. And you start solving people's problems, not even knowing that it came by you going through what you were going through. Your story, your experiences are your tools. Sometimes we don't think about our life experience. the things that we have to encounter, how it actually fashions us. It skills us. It makes us ready to become the help that somebody needs, to be the voice of guidance in somebody else's vision. We become a navigational tool in someone else's journey. All the while, we thought that we possessed absolutely nothing. Your experiences, your ups, your downs, like I used the example of that of Brandy and Monica and other creative individuals who used their challenges in life to produce great music, great art, fashion, skincare products, coffee, right? All these different things. People who had problems with finding products that meet their needs, they use that problem, that situation as a way to discover a way that they can create their own products so they can have exactly what it is that they need, exactly what it is that they know will benefit them. Stop saying you don't have. You do. I want you to get this in your mind that the lack thereof, is the greatest voice of deception. That if we can silence the voice of lack, whether it's the lack of confidence, the lack of security, the lack of support, the lack of money, the lack of time, the lack of resources, the lack of whatever, lack of equipment, whatever it is, if we can silence the voice of lack, our whole perception and perspective will begin to change. When it comes to our goals, our purpose, our vision, our life journey. So as much as we have to silence the voice of doubt, we definitely have to silence the voice of lack. Lack. We have to silence it. And we have to start saying, I'm not lacking anything. I'm not lacking anything. Anything that I actually have a need of and anything that I need to possess, I already possess it. It's within me. But how do I get it out of me? That's the question. How do I get it to manifest? How do I get it to be made tangible? If there's a need, that means that the need will be met. There has to be a way where a need is met. And so therefore, I'm not going to experience deficits and lackage for long. It's just, how do I get to the point of seeing this thing accomplished? You know, we hear that where there's a vision, there's provision. How do I get the provision for the vision? You see? Vision. Vision. Whatever that is, progress, productivity, provision, process. It's all added to the vision. You You see? How do I get it to become tangible, at reach, in my hands? Me having that camera in the story that I was sharing with you guys, it was already there. But it was, how do I get it into my hands? How do I get it where it's now mine? How do I get it into my possession? You know, I really want to say it this way, that if I ever encounter a situation where I'm facing a need, right on the other side of that need is the provision. But the reason why we don't see it is because the first thing that we begin to do is take the thoughts of, this will never happen. This is never going to change. Every time. And not even understanding that we're putting that into motion. So that now the next time when we face another circumstance, it's like a boomerang effect every time. We have to start changing the way that we think so that we can change the way that we process information, the way that we process our experiences. It starts with us. Whatever you have, use it. Stop always looking at what somebody else has and think that's what you need. You know? I tell people all the time that starting out as entrepreneurs, especially that of photography or dealing with anything in the creative field, is that start off with what you have. For me, I had to start off with that point and shoot Nikon. And I made that thing work. I didn't know about no other cameras. I just knew about that Nikon. It wasn't until I was introduced to other like Canon cameras and other Nikons that my mind began to wander, like, man, what would it be like to have this camera? But no matter what it is that I've been afforded to have in my possession, whether it was gifted to me, whether it was invested, whether it was out of my own personal pocket, whether I found it, whether I made it, I never looked at it as if it was worthless, because it's not worthless. It's just how you perceive it and how you work it. But we have to use what we have in our possession, what we have within us. You know, for those who are parents, you may say, I wish I had people that can promote for me. Or I wish I had a strong team. But yet and still you have possibly teenagers in your home. You may have children that's very interested, or a child that's very interested in what you do. And you never consider putting them on your team where they can hand out flyers. They're very tech savvy, so they can do the social media management. About the influence that they have within the community, right? We oftentimes don't think about that. And they could very well be very resourceful. You know, those who have a desire to have mentees, those that they can train up to do the very same things that they do. Have you considered your children? Have you considered a niece, a nephew, a cousin? Right? Use what you have. You know, there's people who desire an office space. Man, I can't wait till I get my office space. But then somewhere in their home, and I know it's more modern in these days and times to do that, right? People actually do that more so than before, because having that brick and mortar establishment has always been most entrepreneurs' goals. But so now we start seeing people actually using their homes, but there's still some people who don't feel as though that their home is capable enough. You know? That closet, that one bedroom that's not even being used. You can use it for your place of production, whether you do photography, whether you do music, whatever it is. Oh, but I like to be away from home and work. Oh, sometimes we have to make the sacrifices. There's really no excuse, people. We have what we need to get things done on whatever level it may be. Despise not the days of small beginnings. A lot of these small moments are just tests. What are we going to do? Are we going to make the most of every opportunity? Or are we going to make an excuse on why we can't buy up the opportunity? You know? I'm only speaking from experience because I've been through it. And I've been around other photographers that have great studios, great equipment. And one of the people that I had as a mentor, he said specifically to me, he said, "Young man, I know you're looking at everything that I have." He said, "But this all was through years of me making the investments that needed to be made." He said, "I don't want you to be discouraged when you're looking at my success, but use it as an encouragement that is possible." And what he said to me, as I was holding my camera in my hand and I was looking at his big boy, you know, he had a machine gun of a camera. And he looked at me and he said, "What you have in your hand is good enough. Make it work for you." And he actually started showing me different features on the camera and how to use them. And what he did, he actually did a swap. He said, "Here, you take my camera and I'm going to take your camera. And we're both going to shoot the same thing." I remember this was in Reidsville, North Carolina. I was with a master photographer under his mentorship. And here we are in this one community and we're taking pictures. And he told me the settings for the camera as far as the aperture and the ISO and everything else. And he said, "Now let's shoot." And we went and we shot and then we compared photos. And he said to me, he said, "Now tell me what's so different about your photos and my photos." And I looked at him, I said, "Nothing." Now that's with the exception that, you know, maybe the angles were different. He was a little bit taller than me, so, you know, his angles were a little bit different from mine. But as far as the production of the photo, and he said there's no difference. And he said to me, he said, that right there should be your confirmation that what you have is effective enough, efficient enough, capable enough to accomplish what you desire to get accomplished. And that right there changed my world in my journey as a photographer. Now, granted, because I'm a photographer, most photographers can agree with me that when you see a camera and you know, it just does something to you when you read those specs, you know, and different things, and you look at the lenses, and you know, after you've done your research and you just get excited, you're like, man, that's my next investment. But never is it again, for me, never again is it from a place of feeling as though what I have is not good enough. But it's understanding that I just want to take what I'm doing to the next level. Right? And so, whatever is needed, I'm just setting myself into motion to getting that accomplished so I can go to the next level. But never shaming my beginning process, never shaming where I'm at right now, high or low, and saying that it's not good enough. And I dare you to view yourself the same way in which you are presenting as a business, as an idea, as you're fulfilling your life's purpose, fulfilling your goals. Don't you ever think that your voice is not powerful? Don't you ever think that what you have to offer is not good enough? So that means that we have to do some personal reflection. We have to do some self-evaluation. Take your empty hands as a exercise, right? Just take your empty hands and look at them. And right now they may be empty. But if you speak over your hands, my hands are effective. My hands are creative. My hands are money makers. My hands are anointed to build, empowered to build, capable to build, strong enough to build. And then you take that very product, even if it's for right now, the vision that you wrote on a piece of paper, whatever it is that represents what it is that you are setting out to accomplish, put it in your hand. And I want you to look at the effectiveness of that. It's in your hand. And what did you just say to your empty hand? It's powerful. It's effective. It's empowering. It's strong. It's anointed. It's capable. It's a money maker. It's a builder. And you're taking that which is in your hand that you just spoke over, and the transfer is on that very thing that your hand is holding. So if it's a camera, you're now saying that because my hands are on this thing, what I'm doing is a money maker. It's capable. It's effective. Why? Because it's in my hand. It's in my possession. So it got no other choice but to work. I'm speaking this as a stir up at this very moment. I don't care what it is. You could be selling lunch bags. You could be making bags. It's worth it. Use what you have. Don't give up. Silence that voice of lack. The same way you gotta silence the voice of doubt. It's in your hands. It's in your hands. You know how often we have our cell phones in our hand? That very cell phone can make us effective. That cell phone can help us in our marketing, our research, everything. Connectivity, creativity. We need videos done, photos done, until we're able to land a photographer, videographer, or whatever else that we feel as though we need. We have our cell phone. And for those who are parents, or those who have children, or those who are always around people like friends and family members, guess what? They're your photographer for that day. They're your videographer for that day. Train them up. Train them up. I am an advocate for sharing information and helping people grow, because you never know. There's sometimes an untapped potential within the people that's around us that they don't even know is within them until they start getting activated. They have to be activated. My daughter, she didn't know how bad she wanted to do photography until she picked up my camera and started shooting. And let me tell you, that girl can shoot. I didn't show her a thing except how to turn it on and how to set the settings on the camera. But everything else that she produces, that's all her. But she got activated. When it comes to my youngest son and him wanting to customize sneakers and make his own fragrant oils, and I gave him a paintbrush so that he can do his sneakers. He got activated. This is something that we have within us. If you're an entrepreneur, I'm telling you right now that part of your journey is being a mentor, being a teacher, a trailblazer, a pioneer, a chain breaker, a generational curse breaker. So don't tell me what you can't do. Don't tell me what you don't have. I dare you to see yourself as one who is more than able and capable of being successful and accomplishing all that your vision requires. Trust me, as I'm speaking to you, I'm also speaking to myself, because I have to remind myself every single day. Because there are some days where Mr. Tony K. Cole feels as though what he has to offer may not be of interest. Not that it's not worthy, not that it's not, but is it of interest? I told you, people, me starting this podcast, this is tangible fruit. that the very words that I'm speaking to you on this podcast are true. At this very moment, I am looking at various locations where this podcast is being heard in countries I never thought were possible, platforms I never thought they would be on. I'm trying to tell you, people, it's in you. You already possess it. Your voice, your creativity. Stop saying you don't have, because you do. And that is simple as put. There's no glitz, there's no glam, there's no... It says raw and as real as it's gonna get. And if you want to make an impact, if you want to make a difference, if you want to see change, it has to start there. People like Brandy, Monica, Chadwick Boseman, Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, Malcolm X, Bill Gates, Kanye West, Oprah Winfrey, Tyler Perry, so many more. They use what they had and what they have for those who are still with us. And with those who are gone now, they've transitioned from this life to the next, their voice is still effective as it was then, now. And for some, even more effective now. And still relevant today as it was the day that they spoke, the day that they created. Your voice is more than just what comes out of your mouth. Your voice is that product that you make. Your voice are the clothes that you make. Your voice is the food that you make. Your voice is the music that you make. Your voice are the pictures that you take, the videos that you shoot. That's your voice. You just have to know how to get it out, how to be heard, how to be seen, how to be felt. Create a presence. But don't ever say you don't have anything to make it happen, because you already possess it. Now it's your job to figure out what it is. I challenge you. I dare you. I double dog dare you to figure it out and let it out. It's only going to make a world of difference in your life. It's only going to reveal that what I'm saying to you is true. It's only going to make you successful. It's only going to make you feel as though that your life is fulfilling a purpose. It's only going to help you escape these social norms and be delivered from these social mind bugs that have been plaguing people for years. It's only going to help you go against the grain and stand out and become a trailblazer. It's only going to have you look like the white dot on red paper or black paper or yellow paper or the black dot on red paper, yellow paper, white paper, purple paper, or the blue dot on red paper. You get it? Yeah. Trust me, it's beneficial, people. I dare you to use what you have. Figure out what you have and use it. But it's in your hand. It's in your life right now. Just take a look. Begin to do some soul searching. Figure out what it is and bring it to the table. This is The Rise Up. I'm your host, Tony K. Cole. And until next time, keep shining.